I'm not telling this story for forgiveness. I don't need it, and I sure as hell don't deserve it. What I deserve is something else entirely, something that sits in my chest like a stone I can't cough up. The coffee tastes like ash. Everything tastes like ash now. I set the mug down on the kitchen counter, the ceramic clicking against granite in the silence of our suburban tomb. Rachel's still upstairs, sleeping off whatever she did last night. She came home smelling like someone else's cologne and guilt. The house feels different when you know the truth. The walls seem thinner. The light filtering through our carefully chosen curtains looks sickly, yellow-green like old bruises. Everything we built together, 10 years of marriage, mortgage payments, arguments about whose turn it is to take out the trash, all of it transformed into evidence of my own stupidity. I'm holding my phone, thumb hovering over the screen. The live photo is still there. 3 seconds of motion that destroyed a decade. Rachel laughing, her head thrown back, Kevin's hands on her waist. Our bed. The sheets Mason used to nap on when he was smaller. The worst part isn't the infidelity. It's that she was happy. Genuinely, radiantly happy in a way I haven't seen her be with me in years. Her laugh in those 3 seconds. It's the laugh she used to give me when we first met, when everything between us was possibility and promise. I play it again. Watch her throw her head back. Watch Kevin's mouth find her neck. Watch the sheets, our wedding gift sheets, twist beneath them. The house is so quiet I can hear the refrigerator humming, the subtle tick of the wall clock Rachel bought at that antique store in Hudson. Normal sounds of normal life, continuing as if the world hasn't shifted on its axis. I should feel rage. That's what a normal man would feel, right? Betrayed husbands are supposed to throw things, scream, demand explanations. But I don't feel rage. I feel something colder, something that settles in my bones like winter. Rachel's footsteps creak overhead. The shower starts running. She'll be down in 20 minutes, hair still damp, wearing that oversized NYU sweatshirt that used to be mine. She'll pour herself coffee, check her phone, maybe ask about my day. And I'll answer like I always do, because that's what we do. We perform our marriage, even when there's nothing left to perform. I watch the photo loop again. 3 seconds. Her laugh echoing in my skull. The strange thing about betrayal is how it recontextualizes everything. Every late night at the office, every weekend girls' trip, every time she checked her phone and smiled at something she wouldn't share. The signs were there, scattered like breadcrumbs through our daily routine. I just wasn't hungry enough to follow them. But I'm hungry now. The shower shuts off upstairs. I close the photo and set my phone face down on the counter. When Rachel comes down, I'll be reading the newspaper, drinking coffee that tastes like ash, performing the role of the husband who doesn't know. Because knowledge is power, and power requires patience. I turn the page of the paper, not reading a single word, and wait for her to come downstairs so I can look into her eyes and see nothing but the woman I thought I married. The woman who never existed at all. The photo loops in my memory. She was still laughing, and I was still nothing. The beauty of living with someone for 10 years is that you know their patterns better than they know yours. Rachel thinks she's careful, but careful is relative when you're not expecting surveillance. Tuesday, Thursday, and every other Friday. Kevin's schedule at the news station aligns perfectly with Rachel's client meetings. She always showers when she gets home on those days, always orders Thai food like infidelity works up an appetite. The routine of adultery, as predictable as our mortgage payments. I'm in Best Buy, comparing security cameras like I'm shopping for a new television. The sales kid, can't be older than 20, is eager to help. "What kind of coverage are you looking for?" he asks, all enthusiasm and commission hopes. "Discrete monitoring, something that syncs to cloud storage." I hold up a camera no bigger than a bottle cap. "How's the video quality on this one?" 1080p, motion activated, live streaming capability. Pretty sweet setup for home security. home security. That's exactly what this is. The installation takes 15 minutes. I know Rachel's schedule better than she does. Yoga class runs until 3, then coffee with her sister, home by 5:30. The camera fits behind the curtain valance, invisible unless you're looking for it. The angle is perfect, clinical, comprehensive. I test the sync to my private server, check the smartphone app, adjust the motion sensitivity. Everything connects seamlessly. Technology makes betrayal so much easier to document these days. Rachel's car pulls into the driveway at exactly 5:28. I'm in the kitchen, laptop closed, reading a magazine about home improvement. The irony isn't lost on me. "Hey, babe," she calls out, keys hitting the entry table with their familiar chime. "How was your day?" "Same as always." I look up from an article about deck staining. "Yours?" "Busy. The Morrison account is being a pain." She's already moving toward the stairs. "I'm going to shower." The Morrison account. Is that what we're calling Kevin now? I wait until I hear the bathroom door close, then open my laptop. The camera feed is crystal clear. Empty bedroom, unmade bed, afternoon light streaming through windows she'll close in 20 minutes when she brings him here. My phone buzzes. Text from my buddy Mike asking about weekend golf plans. I respond normally, because normal is my camouflage now. Normal is how I hide the transformation happening beneath my skin. The water shuts off upstairs. I close the laptop and return to my magazine, studying an article about garden irrigation systems. Timing is everything in landscaping. Too much water too fast, and you flood the roots. Too little, and everything dies slowly. But get the timing right, and you can control exactly what grows and what withers. Rachel comes downstairs in her NYU sweatshirt, hair damp, smelling like the lavender body wash I bought her for Christmas. She pours coffee into her favorite mug, the one Mason made in 2nd grade, slightly lopsided with a heart painted in red. "What's for dinner?" she asks, checking her phone. "Thought we'd order Thai." She smiles, and for a moment she looks like the woman I married. Before I knew about Tuesday, Thursday, and every other Friday. Before 3 seconds of a live photo taught me that love and loyalty are different currencies entirely. "Sounds perfect," she says, and I believe she means it. That's the thing about deception. It requires truth to survive. Rachel isn't lying about everything. She genuinely likes Thai food, genuinely loves our son, genuinely believes she can compartmentalize her life into neat little boxes that never touch each other. But boxes break when you drop them hard enough. I order pad Thai and spring rolls, extra spicy the way she likes it. We eat on the couch, watching some mindless sitcom, her foot touching mine under the blanket. Domestic bliss with a foundation of rot. After dinner, I help Mason with his math homework while Rachel loads the dishwasher. She hums while she works, some song I don't recognize, something that makes her smile to herself. Another secret, another piece of the woman I thought I knew. "Dad, this doesn't make sense," Mason says, eraser worn down to nothing from frustrated corrections. "Sometimes problems look impossible until you change your approach," I tell him, pointing to the equation. "See? Start from the end and work backward." He tries it my way and grins when the answer emerges. "It works." "Usually does." Rachel kisses me goodnight at 11:30, her lips tasting like toothpaste and lies. I wait until she's asleep, then check my phone. The camera feed shows our empty bedroom, motion sensors ready, everything in position. Tomorrow is Thursday. I don't watch the first recording alone. That would be selfish. The beauty of modern technology is how easy it makes sharing. A private streaming link sent to carefully selected email addresses at exactly 2:47 p.m. on a Thursday afternoon. No context, no explanation. Just, thought you should know. 10 names on my contact list. 10 people whose worlds are about to shift. Diane, Rachel's mother, who still calls her baby girl and thinks her daughter hung the moon. Lauren and Casey, The girl's night enablers who probably knew all along and said nothing. Rachel's boss at the marketing firm who hired her straight out of graduate school and treats her like family. Kevin's wife, Melissa, who posts pictures of their anniversary dinners and calls him her forever love on social media. And 5 others, friends, colleagues, people who matter in Rachel's carefully constructed social ecosystem. I'm in my car in the office parking garage when I hit send. The messages go out simultaneously, each one carrying the same payload. No accusation, no drama, just information, delivered with the clinical precision of a medical diagnosis. My phone stays silent for exactly 11 minutes. Then it explodes. The first call comes from Melissa. I don't answer, but I can imagine her voice, shaking, desperate, hoping there's been some mistake. The second call is from Diane, probably wanting to protect her baby girl from whatever horrible thing I'm suggesting. Lauren calls twice, then sends a text. WTF, Derek? I drive home through afternoon traffic, phone buzzing like an angry wasp in the cup holder. By the time I pull into the driveway, there are 14 missed calls and 23 unread messages. But I'm not here for the aftermath. I'm here for the main event. Rachel's car isn't in the driveway. She's still at Kevin's apartment, still performing their Tuesday, Thursday, every other Friday ritual, still believing she controls the narrative of her own life. I pour myself a scotch, the good stuff, the bottle we've been saving for a special occasion, and settle into my study. The laptop screen shows 3 different camera angles now: living room, bedroom, kitchen. I've been busy during lunch breaks. At 4:23 p.m., my phone rings. Rachel's number. I let it go to voicemail. It rings again immediately. And again. By the 4th call, I can hear the panic in the way it vibrates against the desk. Short, desperate bursts, like a drowning person calling for help. The front door crashes open at 4:31. Derek! Rachel's voice cracks across the house like a whip. Derek, where are you? I take another sip of scotch and watch her on the living room feed. She's still in her clothes from this afternoon, the black dress she wore to meet Kevin, the one that hugs her hips in a way that used to make me proud to be seen with her. Her phone is pressed to her ear, calling me even though I'm 50 feet away. Derek, please pick up. There's been some kind of mistake. Someone sent, please, we need to talk. I watch her pace our living room, the same room where we opened Christmas presents last year, where Mason takes his afternoon naps, where we hosted Rachel's parents for Sunday dinner just last week. The scotch tastes like victory and ashes. My phone buzzes with a text from Melissa. Is this real? Another from Diane. Rachel is hysterical. What is going on? And from Lauren. Holy shit, Derek, is this actually happening right now? Rachel appears in the study doorway, face flushed, eyes wild. She's been crying, but there's no time for tears now, only damage control. You're here. She steps inside, closing the door behind her like she's afraid someone might overhear. Derek, I need you to listen to me. I swivel my chair to face her, scotch glass balanced on the armrest. I'm listening. Someone hacked our security system. They're sending fake videos to people trying to... Rachel. She stops mid-sentence. I installed the cameras. The color drains from her face. For a moment, she looks exactly like she did on our wedding day. Young, vulnerable, beautiful, in a way that made me believe in forever. It's not what you think, she whispers. I finish my scotch and set the glass on the desk. It's exactly what I think. My phone buzzes again. Kevin's wife, probably. Or Rachel's boss. Or any of the 10 people whose Thursday afternoon just became infinitely more complicated. How many people? Rachel's voice is barely audible. Does it matter? She sinks into the chair across from my desk, the same chair where we used to plan family vacations and discuss Mason's school reports. Her hands shake as she tries to fix her hair, to compose herself, to find some way back to the woman she was this morning. But that woman is gone. The streaming link made sure of that. Derek, please. We can fix this. There's nothing to fix. She starts to cry then, really cry, the kind of deep sobs that come from somewhere primal and desperate. But I've seen her laugh with Kevin, seen her throw her head back in pure joy while betraying everything we built together. Her tears don't move me. They're just another performance. I stand up and walk to the window, looking out at our suburban street where nothing ever happens and everyone minds their own business. Except today. Today, 10 people know exactly what Rachel does on Tuesday, Thursday, and every other Friday. The whole neighborhood's going to know by tomorrow, I say without turning around. Behind me, Rachel's crying gets louder, messier. The sound of a woman watching her world collapse in real time. My phone buzzes one more time. A text from a number I don't recognize. This is Kevin. We need to talk. I delete it without responding. There's nothing left to talk about. The packing takes 3 hours. Not because Rachel owns a lot. She doesn't, really. But because I want to do it right. Methodical. Respectful, even. I start with her clothes, folding each piece like I'm working retail. Her favorite jeans, the cashmere sweater I bought her for our anniversary, the black dress from yesterday that still smells like Kevin's cologne. Everything goes into labeled boxes. Rachel, bedroom, Rachel, bathroom, Rachel, miscellaneous. The legal papers are already printed, signed by my attorney, notarized yesterday morning while Rachel was at yoga. Divorce petition, temporary custody arrangement, financial disclosure forms. I tape them to the front door in a manila envelope with her name written in block letters. By 6 a.m., her entire life sits on our front porch in 17 boxes and 3 suitcases. 10 years of marriage, reduced to something that could fit in a small moving truck. I reset the smart locks through the app on my phone. New codes, new permissions. The house recognizes only 2 residents now, me and Mason. Rachel's car pulls into the driveway at 6:23 a.m. She probably spent the night at her mother's, trying to craft some explanation that doesn't sound like what it actually is. The car door slams with more force than necessary. She walks up the front steps slowly, key in hand, probably rehearsing whatever speech she prepared in the shower this morning. When she sees the boxes, she stops. Derek? She tries the key. It doesn't turn. Derek! I'm in the kitchen, drinking coffee and watching the local news. Kevin's not on this morning. I wonder if he'll ever be on again. Rachel knocks on the door. Gentle at first, then harder. Derek, open the door. We need to talk about this. The envelope crinkles as she opens it. I hear her gasp from inside the house. You can't be serious. Her voice carries through the walls. Derek, you can't just... This is my house too. But it's not, actually. The deed is in my name only, a decision we made for tax purposes 5 years ago, back when we trusted each other with everything. She starts calling my phone. I let each call go to voicemail, sitting at the kitchen table with my coffee and newspaper, listening to her voice get progressively more desperate outside my front door. Please, Derek. I know you're angry, but we can work through this. We have Mason to think about. Mason is at my mother's for the weekend, blissfully unaware that his world is reshaping itself around him. Another benefit of careful planning. Rachel tries her key again, then again, as if the locks might have changed their minds. When that doesn't work, she sits on the porch steps next to her boxes and calls someone. Probably her mother. Probably her lawyer if she's smart. But Rachel was never smart about consequences. I activate the sprinkler system through my phone. 6 zones, programmed to run for 15 minutes each. The front yard system catches Rachel in the middle of what sounds like a very important conversation. She shrieks, jumping up from the steps, phone tumbling onto the wet pavement. Water hits her from 3 directions, the result of a professionally installed irrigation system that we had put in last spring to keep our lawn green and our property values high. Derek! She's soaked now, mascara running, hair plastered to her skull. Turn it off! I don't turn it off. The neighbors start appearing. Mrs. Patterson from next door, peeking through her curtains. The Rodriguez family across the street, lingering by their mailbox longer than necessary. Everyone can see Rachel standing in our front yard, drenched and screaming at a house that won't let her in. She tries to grab one of the smaller boxes, but the water has weakened the cardboard. It splits open, spilling her jewelry and makeup across the wet pavement. Her engagement ring, the one I spent 3 months' salary on, rolls into the flower bed. The irony is perfect. Rachel scrambles after her scattered belongings, slipping on the wet grass in her business heels. She falls once, hard, skinning her knee like a child. When she gets up, there's grass stain on her white blouse and defeat in her shoulders. The sprinklers shut off automatically at 6:45. Rachel sits on the porch steps again, soaked and shivering, surrounded by her damaged possessions. She's not making phone calls anymore. She's just sitting there, watching water drip from her hair onto the legal papers that ended our marriage. I finish my coffee and rinse the mug in the sink. Through the kitchen window, I can see her clearly, a woman I used to love, reduced to a soggy stranger on my front porch. She stands up slowly, gathering what she can salvage from the wreckage of her belongings. The waterlogged boxes go into her car trunk. The papers get folded carefully and tucked into her purse. Her engagement ring stays lost in the flower bed. Before she drives away, she looks up at the kitchen window where I'm standing. Even through the glass, I can see her mouth forming the word please. But please is what she should have said to Kevin 6 months ago. I wave goodbye. A small gesture, almost friendly. Rachel drives away at 7:02 a.m., leaving wet tire tracks on the driveway and a marriage that used to mean something. The neighborhood returns to its normal rhythm. Mrs. Patterson goes back inside. The Rodriguez family finishes collecting their mail. Another suburban morning, disrupted briefly by someone else's drama. I program the sprinklers to run twice today instead of once. The grass will be greener tomorrow. The fallout happens in waves, like ripples spreading across a pond after you drop a stone. Kevin gets suspended from the news station on Friday. Pending internal review, according to the official statement, but everyone knows what that means. His replacement, a younger woman with perfectly straight teeth, delivers the weekend weather with nervous enthusiasm. Melissa posts her response on social media Sunday evening. After 23 years of marriage, I have discovered that the man I trusted with my heart and my future has been systematically deceiving me. I will be filing for divorce and ask for privacy during this difficult time. It gets shared 400 times in 2 hours. Rachel loses her job on Monday. Not fired exactly, but her boss, Sandra, who was one of my 10 recipients, suggests it might be best if Rachel pursued new opportunities elsewhere. Something about maintaining client confidence and professional standards. I meet with my attorney Tuesday morning, David Kruger, same guy who handled our house purchase, our wills, Mason's adoption paperwork when we thought we might want more kids. He's seen the whole arc of our relationship, from hopeful beginning to documented end. This is comprehensive, he says, flipping through the evidence folder. Almost surgically precise. I'm a detail-oriented person. The custody arrangement should be straightforward, given the circumstances, and the prenup will simplify the financial division. The prenup Rachel didn't want to sign but eventually did, after her mother convinced her it was just good business sense. Another decision that aged well. What about the house? Yours entirely. She has no legal claim. David slides the papers across his mahogany desk. Everything official, everything final, everything exactly as planned. Mason comes home from my mother's on Wednesday, full of stories about the zoo and ice cream and the new puzzle they worked on together. He asks where Mommy is, and I tell him she's staying at Grandma Diane's for a few days. He accepts this easily, the way children accept disruptions to routine when they trust the adults to handle adult problems. We order pizza and watch cartoons, and for an hour, life feels almost normal. Rachel's emails start arriving on Thursday. Long, rambling messages about second chances and counseling and how we can rebuild trust. She's moved from denial to bargaining, right on schedule according to the grief cycle. I don't respond to any of them. The neighborhood dynamics shift subtly. People wave when they see me, but their smiles are different now. Part sympathy, part fascination, part fear that whatever happened to the Graysons might be contagious. Divorce is like cancer in suburbia. Everyone's supportive until they worry about catching it. Mrs. Patterson brings me a casserole on Friday evening. "Just thought you might not be cooking much these days," she says, hovering on my doorstep like she's hoping for details. That's very thoughtful. "If you need anything, babysitting or just someone to talk to, Harold and I are right next door." I thank her and close the door. The casserole goes directly into the freezer, next to the frozen meals I've been stockpiling since this began. Planning ahead has always been my strength. The divorce papers get filed on Monday morning. Rachel's signature appears on the counterpetition by Wednesday afternoon, probably encouraged by whatever lawyer she hired with money she doesn't have anymore. Our mutual friends divide themselves like children picking teams. Lauren and Casey side with Rachel, naturally. They were always her friends first, mine by proximity. But Mike and Jennifer from our couple's dinner group invite me to their anniversary party, and Sarah from the PTA asks if I need help with Mason's school events. People choose sides based on their own marriages, their own fears about what they might do if faced with similar circumstances. The men generally understand. The women are more complicated. Kevin's career implodes spectacularly. The station refuses to renew his contract, and no other network in the tri-state area will touch him. There's a certain justice in watching a man who built his reputation on delivering truth get destroyed by the truth about himself. But I don't feel triumphant. I feel tired. The house is quieter now. Mason and I develop new routines. Breakfast together before school, homework at the kitchen table, bedtime stories that don't involve princesses who get rescued by princes. We're learning to be a family of two, and it's not as hard as I expected. Rachel keeps calling. I keep not answering. 3 weeks after the sprinklers incident, she shows up at Mason's school pickup line. She's lost weight, and her hair looks like she cut it herself. When she sees me, her face crumbles. "Please," she says, walking toward my car. 5 minutes. Just let me explain." I roll down my window. "There's nothing to explain. I made a mistake. I know that. But we can—" "You made a choice, Rachel. Repeatedly. For 6 months." She's crying now, standing in the school parking lot where other parents are watching our drama unfold. "I love you. I love our family." "You love the idea of our family. The version that exists when you're not fucking Kevin." The words hit her like physical blows. She steps back, hand over her mouth, eyes wide with shock at my language. In 10 years of marriage, I never talked to her like that. But the old Derek died with a 3-second video clip. Mason runs out of school with his backpack bouncing, oblivious to the tension crackling between his parents. He hugs Rachel first, because she's closer, then climbs into my car. "Are you coming home, Mommy?" he asks. Rachel looks at me over his head, hope and desperation warring in her expression. "Mommy's going to stay at Grandma's a little longer," I say. The hope dies in her eyes. I drive away, leaving her standing in the parking lot next to her car, the same car that used to sit in our driveway, that used to belong in our life, that now looks foreign and out of place everywhere I see it. In the rearview mirror, she gets smaller and smaller until she disappears completely. That night, Mason asks why Mommy looks so sad. "Sometimes grown-ups make choices that hurt people they love," I tell him, "and then they have to live with those choices." He considers this with 8-year-old seriousness. "Is that why she can't come home?" "That's exactly why." He nods and returns to his homework, accepting the adult world's complexities with the resilience of childhood. In a few years, he'll understand more. He'll have questions that are harder to answer. But for now, he has math problems and spelling words, and a father who comes home every night at exactly the same time. Consistency is underrated, especially after your world explodes. People expect anger from me. They want drama, confrontation, the satisfying crack of a man finally breaking under pressure. Instead, they get silence. My neighbor Harold tries to bond over beer and divorce horror stories. "You're handling this better than I would," he says, shaking his head. "I'd have probably done something stupid by now." "Like what?" "I don't know. Keyed her car. Posted those videos online. Something to really hurt her back." But Harold doesn't understand. The videos were never about hurting Rachel. They were about truth. The custody hearing takes place on a Tuesday morning in a windowless courtroom that smells like industrial carpet and broken promises. Rachel sits with her lawyer, a tired woman in an ill-fitting suit who probably works divorce cases because they pay better than anything else she's qualified for. Rachel looks awful. She's lost more weight, and her clothes hang loose like she's borrowed them from someone larger. When the judge asks about her employment status, she has to admit she's been unemployed for 6 weeks. My lawyer presents our case with surgical precision. The evidence, the financial records, the character witnesses who can testify to my stability as a father. It takes 47 minutes to dismantle 10 years of marriage and establish the new reality. Mason lives with me. Rachel gets supervised visits every other weekend, pending her completion of counseling and proof of stable employment. She doesn't fight it. She just sits there, nodding when her lawyer nudges her, signing papers when directed, accepting the terms of her surrender with the quiet desperation of someone who knows they have no leverage left. Outside the courthouse, she tries to talk to me one more time. "Derek, please. I'm getting help. I'm seeing a therapist and I've been clean for 43 days. Clean. As if Kevin was a drug addiction instead of a choice she made every Tuesday, Thursday, and every other Friday for 6 months. I'm glad you're getting help. Could we maybe try counseling? Together? For Mason?" I look at her standing on the courthouse steps, small and broken and still fundamentally missing the point. She thinks this is about forgiveness. She thinks there's a path back to the life she destroyed. "I don't hate you, Rachel." Her face brightens with desperate hope. "But I don't love you either. I don't feel anything about you at all." The hope dies instantly, replaced by something worse than anger or hurt. Recognition. She's finally understanding that some bridges, once burned, can't be rebuilt. "The woman I married wouldn't have done what you did," I continue, "which means either she never existed or she died somewhere along the way. Either way, I'm not interested in whoever you are now." I walk to my car, leaving her on the courthouse steps with her ineffective lawyer and her empty promises of redemption. That afternoon, I pick Mason up from school like always. We stop for ice cream, do homework at the kitchen table, read 2 chapters of Harry Potter before bed. Normal life, rebuilt around the absence of someone who used to be essential. The real estate agent calls Thursday morning. We've had 3 offers on the house, all above asking price. Apparently, scandal doesn't hurt property values in good school districts. I accept the highest offer and sign the papers that same afternoon. "Where are we moving, Dad?" Mason asks when I tell him. "Somewhere new, just you and me." He seems excited about this prospect, the way children get excited about change when they trust the adults to handle the details. We spend Saturday looking at apartments in the next school district over, close enough that Mason can keep the same friends, far enough that we won't run into Rachel at the grocery store. I find a 2-bedroom place with hardwood floors and a small balcony overlooking a park. Mason chooses his room immediately, the one with better light for reading. "Will Mommy know where we live?" he asks while we measure furniture. "If she needs to find us, she will." This satisfies him. Children accept adults' decisions about contact and custody with remarkable flexibility, as long as their basic needs are met and their routines remain consistent. Rachel sends one last email the day before we move. Subject line, "Please read this." I delete it without opening it. Some conversations have already happened. Some decisions have already been made. The time for explanation and justification and desperate attempts at reconciliation has passed. The moving truck arrives at 8 a.m. on a Saturday morning. Professional movers, efficient and impersonal, reducing 10 years of shared life to inventory numbers and packing labels. Mason helps by carrying small boxes and directing where his toys should go. By noon, the house is empty except for cleaning supplies and memories. I drive through the neighborhood one last time before turning in my keys. Past the park where Mason learned to ride his bike. Past the corner store where Rachel used to buy lottery tickets every Friday. Past the elementary school where we attended parent-teacher conferences and holiday concerts. All of it belongs to someone else now. The irrigation system activates as I pass our old house. 5 p.m. exactly, just like I programmed it. The new owners will inherit my precise timing, my attention to detail, my understanding that some things need consistent maintenance to survive. The sprinklers will run long after I'm gone, watering grass that grows over the foundation of a marriage that died one Tuesday afternoon when truth finally caught up with lies. I don't smile about this exactly, but I appreciate the symmetry. At our new apartment, Mason has already arranged his books on the shelf and hung his favorite poster on the wall. He's adapting to change with the resilience of childhood, creating comfort in new spaces with the efficiency of someone who trusts that adults will handle adult problems. "Dad," he says from his new bedroom doorway, "are you sad about Mommy?" "No, buddy, I'm not sad." "Are you happy?" I consider this question seriously. Am I happy? Not in the way people usually mean it. But I'm something else, something quieter and more permanent than happiness. "I'm finished," I tell him. He nods like this makes perfect sense, then returns to unpacking his action figures. That night, I stand on our small balcony, looking out at a city that doesn't know our story. Tomorrow, Mason will start his new school. I'll drive to work from a new address. We'll build new routines around new truths. Somewhere across town, Rachel is living with the consequences of believing she could have everything without losing anything. Somewhere else, Kevin is learning that reputation is more fragile than celebrity. But their stories are no longer my concern. My phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number, probably Rachel, using a friend's phone to get around the block I put on her contact. I delete it without reading it, same as I've done with the others. Some silences are more eloquent than words. Some endings don't require explanations. Some truths, once revealed, don't need to be discussed or forgiven or understood. They just need to be. And the man who never raised his voice finally discovered that the quietest revenge is simply walking away and never looking back. And that's the end of today's story. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a thumbs up and drop a comment below. Your support helps the algorithm push my content further. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It really helps me keep creating more stories for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.